Good evening, everyone. My name is Simran Jhutti. I'm with Fresno Council of Governments, and
my name is Aly Tawfik. I'm an associate professor at the Department of Civil and Geomatics Engineering and director of the Fresno State Transportation Institute. Before we start, so today we're going to discuss a very exciting project. So I moved to Fresno 11 years ago, and it has been quite an eye-opening experience. I think before coming here, I didn't know much about Fresno. In fact, I've never heard of Fresno before, so I moved from the East Coast. But nowadays, when I speak with my friends on the East Coast or the north of the nation or south, sounds like lots of people today know Fresno than they did 11 years ago. And I think that's because they have lots of really great and exciting projects happening in our region. I think the state on the coast is almost full, and if there is any place for any new innovation, it's happening here. So we have, and this is one of these projects that we think is going to be a game changer for our region. And actually, before we start, so we're going to tell you a little more about this exciting project. I would like to acknowledge a person sitting with us here today who has been leading this project for maybe 10 years before he retired only a few months ago. So Tony, if you wouldn't mind standing up for a second. So Tony Boren is the former executive director of Fresno Council of Governments, and he has been leading this project with many of our other counties in the valley for many, many years. So thank you, Tony.
Okay, so a little bit about Fresno Council of Governments and who we are. We are the transportation planning agency for the county and the 15 incorporated cities, and we spend a lot of time with air quality components as well as sustainable growth, as Aly already mentioned. And so in addition to that, we manage we're designated from the state as a regional transportation planning agency, and from the federal government, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which means we administer programs to fund local transportation projects, but also administer the local sales tax, Measure C, to also aid and grow programs such as Fresno State Transportation Institute.
So our Fresno State Transportation Institute was established in 2018 using Measure C funds. Today, we're also part of the California State University Transportation Consortium with 3 other CSUs, Long Beach State, Chico State, and the San Jose State. And we have 4 main areas of work that we do lots of work in: education, research, technical service, and public outreach. We're multidisciplinary by design, so we have faculty and students working with us from all across the university, all 8 colleges. And we have several of them actually with us several of our students that are with us in the room here today. Over the past 7 years, we have completed more than 70 research projects. We have co-organized with partners 3 transportation summits in Fresno. One of them, the last of which was an international summit. We had guest speakers and guests from 4 continents. And then we do lots of K-12 outreach as well. So our presentation is 4 parts. The first part is what are the challenges? So how did this idea of this project come about? So there are 4 main players that started this project. So first, the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. So together they are at capacity almost, sometimes even over capacity. And we've seen in COVID how much delay they suffered. So they've been trying to think of ideas of what can we do to reduce the amount of traffic that we're handling. The second is our own valley. So in our valley, we have challenges with imports and exports, especially that much of our exports is agricultural in nature, which requires a fast delivery and fast shipping. And if things get delayed, then they can go bad and they can be troublesome for our exporters and the economy of our region. Then the state has its own challenges. So the state, they have challenges with climate change. They have challenges with fatalities on highways. We have challenges with trucks and congestion on the freeways. We have challenges with air pollution in our region. And we also have challenges with imbalance of distribution of resources and funds and support of the more populous parts of the state and the more disadvantaged parts, which is our region. So all together, they came together, and each one of them, we have invested interest in making this project happen. And we think that's why it has been progressing fast, and that's why we believe it's going to happen soon. So this led to the birth of this project, which is Straightport, California, which we're going to explain some more. So in the next slide, so this project is huge because it serves a huge area. So our area, which is this yellow area that the project serves, has a population of 14 million people. And if we add the Los Angeles, it becomes 31 million. And we have 1.1 shipping containers that are being transported over trucks across our region annually. The region is 425-mile long. And this is, sometimes we forget that our state is a huge state. So this 425 miles, if you put them on the East Coast, they pass through 7 states, including New York and Maryland and DC and Virginia. So this is a huge project, and this is a huge area. On the East Coast, it would be like dreams. We have 2 parallel tracks of rail going through our region. And the idea is we're going to create these green and brown square hubs in our region to help with the shipping of the imports and exports. And we have lots of inbound shipping containers and outbound products as well. So this is the background of what is the idea and what are the challenges. And now Simran is going to tell us, so what is the idea, what's being proposed.
Several of the world's busiest supply chain routes travel through the Southern California seaports on the Asia to North America trade lane. California is the world's 4th largest economy and is the global technology hub, and is one of the world's leading agricultural export regions. A very dense cargo flow can be found along the 425-mile-long Tradeport California market area. Strategic investments in transportation and clean energy infrastructure position Tradeport California as a transformational project, radically improving cargo movement efficiencies, air quality, and economic competitiveness. A series of Tradeport hubs will be developed to connect next-generation logistics assets with industrial investment clusters in logistics, distribution, and manufacturing.
And so that video really encapsulates the potential for the Central Valley. In the Fresno region in particular, we are the 5th most populous city in the state, but also one of the #1 agricultural producing regions as well. So the main components I want to highlight of Tradeport California is the intermodal component of moving cargo from the ships at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach onto rail and up north into the Central Valley, and also creating investment districts that can invite private enterprises for warehousing and distribution centers. And this would all be built using clean energy, and then having goods transloaded on short haul trips with either hydrogen or electric trucks, wherever technology leads us first. And so again, just to, this is the main anchor of Tradeport California. The concept is to have intermodal hubs or Tradeport market service areas along State Route 99 adjacent to the Class 1 railroads. And so this component right here, in preliminary feasibility studies, we can have up to 4 locations in the valley and really in the Fresno region, because we have both Class 1 railroads running through our county. And so the second component, which is the intermodal hubs for investment, we have a multitude of opportunity to have agricultural products moved out, inviting private enterprises to invest in setting up their distribution centers here, which would also create more jobs, and then using clean energy trucks to decrease the pollution along State Route 99.
All right, so how is this going to change the landscape, the business landscape that we have in our valley? So it's going to change, it's going to have a huge impact in all kinds of dimensions. So first, improve transportation infrastructure. So we're going to have to build improved transportation infrastructure, whether it's hydrogen plants, whether it's hydrogen fuel station or electric power plants or electric chargers, or the investment hubs themselves, which, as Simran mentioned, is not just a location where you can ship things on and off, but it's going to be a full logistics center with lots of technology. So AI and machine learning models, lots of informatic systems, lots of technology in these hubs, as in addition to services. It's going to help reduce the costs of shipping from our region as well as into our region. So it's going to expand our market access so we can ship faster, so we can reach further regions in the world in shorter times. It's going to optimize our supply chain with lots of technology and information. So today's supply chain, I think, is one of the on the lower end kind of technology arenas, but this should transform this significantly. It's going to create lots of jobs. Like it's expected that hundreds of thousands of jobs in the different investment districts. Next slide, please. So it's going to attract investments in our region, and these investments, some of which is going to be high tech. So talking about brain drain coming from our region. So this is going to expect that we're going to bring brain power into our region, partner with us. So these big changes. I talked about technology adoption, logistics, collaborative partnerships, and trade facilitation. It's going to have significant environmental impacts. So cap and trade and many other business models are expected to serve us in these kinds of projects. It's going to increase competition. So hopefully from our end, because we're going to be more able to compete with big logistics hubs that exist today. In fact, the developers, so one of the developers who did the study on this project, they believe that this is going to be the largest trade investment corridor in the whole world. I do not know how accurate or inaccurate is that, but I think just the claim signifies the size of the project. There's lots of education and training opportunities, all these jobs and technologies and so on. They require lots of training and education, supply chain resilience. So today we hear lots about issues with trucking, and when trucking falters, how this affects our trade. But now when we have these different modes of transportation, then this helps the resiliency, value-added services, and the investment hubs, and that's a big part of the project. It's not just the location to ship. It's a whole investment hub with manufacturing and trade and taxing and so on. Strategic partnerships, real estate development, because all these new technologies will require lots of development, tourism and hospitality, community engagement, and regulatory changes. Now, in addition to all of those, there are a few outlying impacts on the environment. So hopefully this should reduce our air pollution, our trucking air pollution significantly. So we expect significant change to our air quality based on transportation emissions. Public health should improve public health, highway safety and congestion. So all these truck-caused crashes on highways should reduce significantly. I think we all suffer, at least I curse a lot when I'm driving behind the truck on the freeway. So hopefully this is going to help improve my manners. Economic development and competitiveness, and social equity and environmental justice. And then the last part, is this really happening? And I'll pass it to Simran after this video.
Another video that'll help visualize the project.
Tradeport California is an integrated import-export logistics and investment system that begins at the massive seaports complex at Los Angeles and Long Beach, with its Trans-Pacific Ocean service to key Asian supply chain points. On land, the seaports are connected to the Tradeport California market area by extensive highway and rail infrastructure to key regions. The logistics system moves cargo from the seaports complex via a clean energy truck fleet that connects to a series of Tradeport and satellite Tradeport hubs that are located at strategic inland locations. These hubs are purpose-planned developments that each have a logistics zone and an investment zone. Depending on location, the logistics zone may include rail and truck infrastructure, while the investment zone is home to a concentration of distribution and manufacturing companies. The logistics zone may have container rail access and a truck mobility complex, which is a next-generation hub with clean energy and logistics infrastructure. Tradeport California is designed to be the most efficient and cleanest logistics corridor in the world.
So again, as Dr. Tawfik mentioned, is it really going to happen? So initially, the project began really with a grassroots effort from the Port of Los Angeles' executive director, because this was prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, to alleviate the supply chain burden at the port in Long Beach and Los Angeles. And so it was under executive director or former executive director Tony Bourne's leadership. We had all 9 COGs from Sacramento to Kern, as well as 3 air districts and the San Pedro Bay ports, stand this up and conduct 2 feasibility analyses. And shortly after, Tradeport California was able to gain traction and get another $2.25 million investment from both the state and the federal government. And so there's a lot of complex components to this project, as you've heard today. There's the air quality issues, the logistics issues, the transportation issues, but then also serving the economic, the economic development of the region, but also the state, and then serving on a worldwide scale, with California being the fourth largest economy. So from that perspective, it's not an easy task, but we are working in a coordinated effort with all of our public partners, and there's now opportunity for private investment in this, next phase. And we've worked with also, another critical component to the project are the Class 1 railroads. So we've worked with both the UP and BNSF, and they want to see more investment. So in the next phase, we'll get to that. But on a more optimistic note, we do have bipartisan support for Tradeport California. We had an op-ed co-authored by both Congressman Valadeo and Costa that shows their support for this project and the benefits that it can bring to the Central Valley in terms of economic development and also better quality of life by reducing that truck traffic and improving our air quality. And so in this next phase of our project, we are partnering with the U.S. Department of Transportation's Public-Private Partnership Division, which is the Build America Bureau, and we have been designated in both rounds 1 and 3 as a regional infrastructure accelerator. And so in this next phase, we'll be selecting sites in the Fresno region that are optimal for the economic intermodal hubs and also, adjacent to State Route 99 and the Class 1 railroad. And so in the next year, we hope, which is kind of an ambitious timeline, but we're hoping that we can at least get a analysis on 2 locations in the Fresno region at most to help progress the project and be able to distribute that to private investors and firms and shippers to see if they would like to see this happen and continue to watch this project grow. And so with that, thank you for listening, and I think we'll be able to answer more questions when we step out. Thank you.